Party people in the place to be. You are now in the midst of a real MC. Throw your hands in the air if you're real as me. Ooh.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? We're back with another episode of Lloyd Alford Radio. This is your host, Lloyd Alford, and I'm here with a special friend of mine, unique individual, a real go-getter entrepreneur. We here with Run It Up Robbin Okafor. Rob, whatever you want to call her. But, great friend of mine. Awesome business person, also entrepreneur, has done a lot of cool things. We're going to get into all of that. Thanks, Rob, for being here. I appreciate you coming in and talking to me and chopping it up.
Thanks for interviewing me. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here, honored.
Yeah, it's
I'm
lit.
ready to talk.
You know that. Bet. Let's get right into it.
Go.
Let's get right into it. When we first linked up, I was looking at your Instagram and a couple things that stood out, like, of course, your name, Run It Up Rob on Instagram, it speaks for itself. But you said from trenches to trillions, which is better to me than mud to millions. You know what I'm saying? But I like that. Helping entrepreneurs create multiple streams using practical resources. That kind of speaks for itself, like I said. We'll get into all of that. But I want to give you the chance to kind of tell the people who you are. I could talk about your endeavors, but that doesn't tell them, about the person. So kind of get the people at home an idea of who you are.
Right. So I like what you just said about you can tell them about the endeavors, but that doesn't really tell them about the person, right? So, I can run down a list of, my multiple streams of income, if that's what you want to talk about. But I don't think that really, describes who I am, essentially. My bio on Instagram, I help entrepreneurs create multiple streams of income using practical resources. I would really say that's really what I do, in real life, because I do have multiple streams of income, but all of them essentially are incomes that I generated just from learning practical things, using practical resources, whether it was, getting a mentor, using YouTube University or whatever. I'm a businesswoman, but I'm also really committed to just helping other people realize you can also get multiple streams of income, and it doesn't have to be this far-fetched idea, something that's very tangible that you can do. You just have to, get the right resources together. You got to get around the right people, get your mind right. There's definitely steps that you have to take to, get to where you want to be, essentially. But overall, I think that the reason why I was put here was to, own multiple businesses, create opportunities for people, to change my family's just way of living, to change my way of living, but also to help others do that at the same time.
I feel that, and I like that, and that's honorable. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are living for self. I think when you make that switch, that's when you really kind of tap into your passion, because I feel like we're all here for one another, because it's a reason why, everybody's here on this earth. We can get into kind of this entrepreneurial journey. I kind of want to give some background context. We met in high school.
Right.
Leaving high school, you went on to Howard.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Graduated from Howard. What was your degree?
I have a bachelor's of science in biology.
Nice. Okay. Biology. Oh, I hated science. I hated science.
What's crazy is I always tell people I hated science too. I don't know how I have a degree in biology.
Yeah.
When I know how actually, but that's a whole other story.
right.
Yeah, I hated science too. So it's funny that I have a total degree.
Right. No, but it's all good. And what I want to kind of get into is, When did the shift come, though, from biology to entrepreneurship? Like, what kind of took place to kind of make you realize this is a route that I want to get into, and ownership and all of that?
Right. So essentially, like, I've always been like business minded and business oriented.
I believe that. Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like anybody who knows me, who knew me in high school or even before that or after that, like, or just knows me in general, like, they know I'm like, the way my mind works is definitely business oriented. So when I went to school and I got my degree and I left school and I took a year off and then I went back to Georgetown, and I was on track to become a doctor, right? And I wanted to do that, but essentially, you know, again, that's a whole nother story, but essentially I wasn't doing that for the right reasons, you know, and I knew that, you know, medicine versus business, you can definitely collab the two, and that's essentially where I am now, actually, in my life, to where I'm kind of trying to collab the two. But at the time, it was like, I'm feeding this thing, like, you know, wanting to be a doctor essentially, but that's not really what I wanted to do. So when I realized that just me being in this program at Georgetown, I just absolutely hated it. I was in the worst mental space. Like, I was essentially just not well for real, because it's like, as you get older, you start to realize, like, time is ticking. So you really want to live life for yourself. You want to do what makes you happy. So essentially when I was there, I was realizing that I wasn't happy. I wasn't in the best mental space. Like, I was essentially ill because what I was doing, like, I woke up every day, like, sad or just not, you know, in the right space. And I just decided that next semester just not to go back. And when I didn't go back, that's just when entrepreneurship was just there, you know what I'm saying? I linked up with my homegirl in DC. She put me on to essentially real estate investing.
Got you.
And then from real estate investing, that's when just doors just started to open as far as networking, as far as me getting introduced to just the business world in general, because a lot of the things in business overlap, you know. It doesn't matter.
It's all a lot of the same concepts.
Exactly.
It's all a lot of the same concepts. So they even say, like, if you can like run the streets, you can run a corporation. Exactly. Because it's the same type of principles.
Exactly. It's a lot of the same principles. So around that time, that's when I really started, you know, I just started betting on myself, you know, as far as business, you know, when I wasn't necessarily sure if I was ever going to go back to the medicine side or, you know, like that health side, but I knew for sure, like, this is something that I'm just naturally, like, good at, you know, this is just something that naturally I feel connected to, you know. So that was just me taking that leap of faith. That was like in 2017, I think. And then from there, that's just went every day, like, trying to be better, trying to learn something new, trying to, you know, understand, you know, now we have Instagram, we have social media. So you're seeing people live essentially a life. And I'm not trying to say, like, you need to be comparing yourself or anything, but you can use social media for something negative or something positive. You know, for me,
envy or inspiration.
And for me, I'm looking at Instagram like, yo, it's people younger than me who's out here really getting to it. Whether you think it's cap or not, they're getting to it, right? They're running up the check, and they're older, or they're younger or whatever. And you feel like, yo, like, there's a way that you can live a life that you enjoy and that you love, and still be making a lot of money, doing it.
When passion, I think it's like when passion meets purpose, or it's something like that, but along the lines of what you're saying.
Yeah, like, you know, it's possible, but that's the thing. Is, I think I saw a meme on Instagram that was just saying how, you know, school teaches us essentially how to do that 9 to 5 thing every single day. And so a lot of times we get just caught up in knowing, like, or thinking that, okay, I have to have this 9 to 5 job. I have to have this just way of doing things, because that's what I did all my life. So.
Right. I totally agree with you on all of that. It is definitely possible to have a purpose and to still make a sustainable living, to get rich, even, honestly.
And enjoy it while you're doing it.
Right. And I think that's when wealth really comes, when you actually tap into your real purpose, because it comes so effortlessly. But we're sitting right now. We're not in the studio. We're not in no car. We're sitting right now in your property, which is, I say that not even to hype, but to be real with what's going on. We're sitting in your Airbnb, which is crazy, because I don't know too many people in our 20s, nobody from our school that really tapped in. I'm saying I don't know, just out of respect if anybody did or not. But I don't know anybody personally. None of my friends have Airbnb properties or whatever you want to call it that they rent out and do that. So my whole question is, how did that even come up? How did you tap into the Airbnb game?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you remember I was telling you about real estate, right?
Right.
So I had been in, real estate investing, doing wholesaling. Some people probably know. Some people know what that is. Some people don't. But essentially, it's just a exit strategy in real estate investing. And from there, it was a conference that me and my best friend Olivia we were supposed to go to, and I think it was like Vegas. And we were supposed to go to this real estate conference. Ended up not going. I don't remember why we ended up not going. But for some reason, we ended up not going, or let me think, did she go? I want to say she might have went, and I didn't go, or either somebody went, somehow we got information, that came back from this real estate event, that this girl who lived in Durham, so I live in Raleigh, that a girl who lived in Durham was out in Durham doing Airbnb. So Olivia was like, yeah, like I heard about this girl who, she's out in Durham and she's just like killing the Airbnb game out there.
Yeah, sheesh.
So I was like, oh, word. So, she sent me her Instagram, and, I always tell people, like, one thing I'll do is, like, I'll always network with people. I don't mind shooting somebody a DM, asking them a question. The worst thing they can do is look at it and not say nothing, right?
That's the worst. You don't lose no money reaching out to people. You
lose 30 seconds of your time, or, they can decide to respond. This girl, she responded. She didn't have a lot of followers. She probably had like 2,000 followers on Instagram. And from there, just connected. Like, paid her, I think, like $200 to sit down and just ask her anything that I wanted to ask her.
It's the information is so valuable.
And that's what a lot of people don't see. It's like, when the girl told me, she charged $200, in my mind, I was already like, I'm going to pay $200
for knowledge that nobody can take from me.
And a lot of people won't do that. No. A lot of people won't just...
People won't buy a book.
People won't buy a book. And people will probably look at her and think, well, she only got 2,000 followers on Instagram. Like,
what does she know?
What does she know? She asked for $200 for this, for that. And that $200 has made me...
times over.
I don't even know how much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know how much. So from that conversation, she just kind of walked me through the process of getting Airbnb, what I needed to do, and the rest is just history.
Yeah, the rest is history, because it's just so funny that the way society, the way our generation looks at things, is that somebody has to be the guinea pig. Yeah. Before it really catches on.
Exactly.
Like it has to be done first for people to believe that they can do it too. So it's like, once you see, you could take clothing brands, you could take any business model. Once you see one person do it and they have some success with it, regardless of the trials, when they have success with it, that's when other people are like, wow, so if she could do it, I know I can do it. Or like, and sometimes that trickles a moment of transparency. Like, so do you feel like that kind of happened?
Yeah.
In your situation?
Of course, but and I was going to say, we were talking earlier, like before we were recording, kind of about that. But I think that essentially the person who does it first, you know what I'm saying? The first person who does it first, yes, you're taking the bigger risk, of course.
Right.
But honestly, it's bigger the risk, bigger the reward.
Of course,
because when I, how I just got my Airbnb and just how everything worked out, I had to essentially be the first person to jump, and I was the first person to jump as far as doing what I'm doing in my area because, I remember going on Airbnb and just doing market research, and I was like, there's no Airbnbs in this area, right? But I knew, I'm from Raleigh, so because I'm from Raleigh and I knew what was going on in the area, I was like, nah, like an Airbnb would do super good out there, right? Yeah. But that's me going first and knowing like, well, no one else around me has done it. And if I do it, maybe there's a reason why nobody did it, maybe I shouldn't be doing, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of thoughts that can go in your mind. Just think like, man, maybe this is not the right decision for me. So I essentially did jump first, but it helped me in the long run because I was able to do so much, like negotiate my rent prices, well, you know, that's like the main thing was when I was able to negotiate my rent prices, because when I got my unit, nobody was really doing Airbnb, you know. So when I came in there, and
it's almost like an untapped market.
Exactly. So when you, and it's just like, you know, think about it when you think about stock market, like investing in Facebook or any of these, like, you know, Amazon when they were really, really cheap. That's essentially what it is.
You're on the front end of everything.
So yes, it's the, you know, it's the bigger risk that you're taking, but essentially those people who invested in Facebook and, you know, these big companies, when they were $50, $12 a stock, now they done made 100 times their return because they were, like you said, on the front end. So yeah, I think that, you know, I think that, you know, it's been, you know, I've seen more Airbnbs like in the area and stuff like that, which I don't mind because that's what, you know, I'm essentially here to do. But yeah, going first sometimes it's tough. But sometimes it's just what you got to do, especially if you are looking for a big return in the end. And
I'm glad you keep good energy with that whole
mentality. Man. You got to, because, you know, not to get religious or anything, but I always say, you know, like the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You know what I'm saying? So when you just think about that, it's like you gotta keep that energy, because you want to invite and welcome the things that you are, you know, the things that you're manifesting. You want to be in a position and you want to keep that energy to be inviting to all of those things. If I'm over here thinking like, oh man, this person copying me, or this person trying to get Airbnb too, and you know, I'm missing out on opportunities, I'm burning bridges. You know, it's essentially, other than looking at it from a point of view like, oh, I'm actually doing what, you know, I need to be doing, and God is going to continue to bless me because I'm blessing other people, you know. Even if it's people who are not, and even if it's people, you know, that meme that's like, it's people who, you know, will never talk to you, who are like watching what you do, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's people who never talk to me, who never give me credit for, oh, you inspired me to do this or do that, like, I'm good with that. I don't need that applause or anything, because I know, like, as long as I am doing what God trusts me to do, you know, what he gave me, and I'm handling it responsibly. Like, I don't have anything to be mad or upset or, you know, about, because I'm going to keep on getting blessed.
As I always say, like, I always tell people, because I used to get caught up in the fact that if I started something and you see other people like taking the same type of pattern or doing the same type of thing, I used to get upset. But then, like, Rob would tell me, other people would tell me, like, that are in the circle,
I would tell you,
don't get mad. Don't get mad, because that's what you're here for. That's what you're supposed to do. They're following or trying to follow a formula like yours for a reason. You should be honored by that. And also,
what I used to always tell you, like, you either on one or two ends. You know what I'm saying? You either are, you know, a leader or your follower. That's, you know, that's
you're the inspired or the inspiring.
Exactly. You know, and that's probably a more nicer way to put it. You either inspire, you know, you either being inspired or you're inspiring
but
others.
We're all, you know, low-key doing it at the same time.
It's all essentially a cycle, so we all are doing it. But a lot of times you do have to make a decision. We all have to make that decision. Which end do we want to be on? Do we want to be on the front end of inspiring people? That comes with a lot. You know what I'm saying? Too much, to whom much is given, much is required, right? Or you can be on the back end, play it a little bit more safe. And I always say there's nothing wrong with playing it safe. You know, if you want to be like a more safe person, it's nothing wrong with playing it safe. But, you know, playing it safe is going to get you playing it safe results, right?
Like you said, bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. And I always tell people, when you, like you say, just about showing love and giving love, when you give love, you're always going to get it back, but it just might not be from that same source. So if you give love to somebody, don't worry about that same person giving you love back. Just know that you're going to receive some love some other type of way. I'll continue this, just talking about just entrepreneur talk. Now, you have the Airbnb going. I want to kind of get into the Harris brand. I'm kind of cheating because I already know, like, but it's so interesting to me. Like, talk about the other brand you have.
Okay, so I guess
because the podcast and everything is tough. I like all of that you do.
Okay, so I guess one of my streams is Airbnb, and then another one of my streams is my is what I would call like my business brand, which is the Eris brand.
Right.
And that is essentially a community where like-minded women come together just to be inspired about different things like, mental health,
right.
Talk about just day-to-day streams of income, we
right,
kind of tie into my personal brand as well.
Like empowerment almost.
Yeah, it's almost
women
like empowerment.
It's
It's kind of like women empowerment. I know it sounds kind of like cheesy because everybody feels like, oh, everybody has this, women empowerment brand, but mine is very much so centered around faith, and so it's essentially like women and men too being who God has called us to be when given the proper faith, facts, and resources.
I love it. I love
it. So that's the second brand, and that is I have a podcast that is attached to that brand, but I haven't really been doing a podcast lately just because I've been having so many other things going on. But I'm definitely getting back into podcasting soon, because just like with entrepreneurship comes, trial and error, balancing your different schedules, balancing everything. So I'm not gonna lie, it's been very difficult for me since getting the Airbnb to just balance everything along with my, other businesses that I have. I'm learning every day to just time management is just super key.
important.
Every day I'm just learning how to, this is how you really are a CEO, and this is how CEOs run multiple businesses and they do it successfully.
People think that by being an entrepreneur or being solely an entrepreneur working on multiple entrepreneurial endeavors, you don't have a schedule, so you kind of have a free reign, but in reality you have to have an even more disciplined schedule, because there's no one that's telling you. The good thing about a job is that when you leave at 5, most of the time you can leave that job right there at the door. Your job never stops as an entrepreneur.
I just got back from DR last night.
Lit.
And I hopped right off the plane, got to my car, and went straight to Walmart because I knew that the Airbnb was out of mad shit. Out of mad stuff. My brother already had told me because he helped me turn it over while I was out of town.
Nice.
And so he was like, yo, the Airbnb needs X, Y, and Z. And so the thing is, it's you really do trade in having a 9 to 5 for having a 24/7.
24.
You're working
25/8.
No, seriously, and that's just the side that a lot of people don't see. And so, unfortunately, I do feel like my podcast has been suffering because now I have added another stream of income onto what I have going on.
Right.
But I don't ever try to make it seem like I have everything figured out. I'm learning every day just like everybody else. So that's just one thing that I'm working on. But I'm excited to kind of get back recording and giving people game and stuff like that.
And you're good though, because the awesome and the beautiful thing too about ownership is that we're really all on God's time.
Yeah, exactly.
But with our own businesses and stuff, we are on our time to release things. And I used to feel bad because I wasn't dropping a collection every season, every year, every month, or whatever you want to call it. But just seasonal, like I see these other brands doing in the malls and stuff. Granted, they have production factories and design teams, but on a small scale, I compare myself because that's what I aspire to be too. So I still look at that as I should be releasing every season too. But as an entrepreneur, those balances, those breaks are necessary.
They're so necessary.
Getting in the game so you can see things different. It's always a different view on the sideline than in the game. So sometimes it's cool to pull yourself out, figure it out, re-strategize, rebrand, and jump back in, because who are you really racing against anyway?
Right.
It's only really yourself.
Right. Your past self.
Right. And so just continuing along as well, that was nice, right?
That's bad. I remember you telling me that, just about how you had to really get into a mindset of, make sure you're not comparing yourself to other brands. And it's
down.
And
it's hard, though.
It's hard.
Because we're competitive and
we said about Instagram, it's you can sometimes, Instagram, even if you're not consciously using Instagram for, I guess, like, you don't go on Instagram and think like, oh my gosh, like I'm comparing myself. But sometimes you can find yourself comparing yourself. So sometimes, you know, Instagram, social media has its pros and cons.
And it's hard to do good
in 2021 because it's everywhere.
Right. People do good and sometimes it almost will seem like, well, I don't want to, or it might put you in a space where you don't want to mention your business all the time because you don't want to seem like that person that feels like, or that's trying to like make other people feel bad or like, you know what I'm saying?
It's imposter syndrome. You know, we all go through it. Like, dang, I have I'm this old and I have.
But it's facts though. But it's all facts.
It's all facts. But it's like even as us, we have to like get over that. That's something that I work on too. Yeah. I know that you work on that too. It's like
you shouldn't feel bad about talking about your business or the things that you are trying to accomplish. And if people are feeling offended by that, and you're genuinely just being passionate, then that speaks more on them.
That's on them.
That speaks more on them.
That's how you get paid. That's how, like, your business, that's how you get money. So it's like, if
right,
that's what you have to do.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Closed mouths don't get fed. And, you know, people who have 9 to 5s, it's like, if you are looking down on somebody who has a business because they're talking about their business or they're pushing their business or elevating, like, that's on you. You know, that speaks, like you said, that speaks about that person because that's how we eat. Like, we have to talk about our business. We have to be our business, our brand 24/7 because that's how we make a living.
Yeah. Now,
most of us.
Right. When we can be transparent, what are some of the things that you ran into that you didn't expect? Some of the, like, if you could give maybe like 1 or 2 top lessons that you learned, maybe not even just with the Airbnb, just with the entrepreneurship journey so far. Yeah. Like, what are things that you're learning?
Let me, I think for the sake of time, I'm going to just give you one big thing, right? So this one big thing that I feel like it is, it kind of overlaps just entrepreneurship, but even it came up in my Airbnb was that, like, your net worth really is your net worth, you know? And that's for me, having, like, being connected to people who can help me in the case of emergency, for example, in the Airbnb, I've had beds to break in the middle of people's stay.
Wow, you know,
I've had people to get locked out. I've had people to, you know,
locked out sucks.
I've had different things to happen to where I had to either call somebody to go there or I had to get a handyman in the unit first thing next morning. And essentially it's like, the fact that I just had a handyman just in my contacts, just actually somebody who we went to school with, like, that really helped me because I could have, you know, maybe Googled something, but that person probably would charge me $200. Right.
It's not about what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly, just for a house call. So versus the guy that I knew, he was there next day, charged me a flat fee, and just made sure that I was good. Right. And so, like, things like that always happens, you know, and just business in general. It's happened in my Airbnb. And I would just say, don't, you know, burn unnecessary bridges and really network with people who are in your field, in your industry, even if they're outside of your industry. Like, make sure that you have a good network for people that you can call on if need be. Right.
And I feel that it's so much to learn. That network is super valuable. I think that now people are valuing who they know really more than what they know. It's really about building those right connections. If I didn't know you back then and still build this connection, we wouldn't even be here right now.
Exactly. And I always say, and I just want to say this, I'm going to say this last thing.
No, you're good.
That's what it is. But I always say, like, whoever's in your network, like, you having, like, access to me, right?
Right.
You're not looking at me with a big money sign on my body, but essentially you are connected to a source of money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're connected to a source of opportunity just because you know certain people. It's certain people that are in my network that I know that I'm going to be a millionaire just because I'm connected to so many people who have so many opportunities that I can tap into if need be, and when the time is right.
Exactly. When the time is definitely right. The time is right for this interview right now. Not even interview, but just conversation. This is one of the many conversations that we have, man. This one just happened to be on air, so that's what's up. I appreciate you tapping in with me, Rob. And
Justin is a good guy. Y'all are in good hands. Like, I want to give my guy his flowers because I'm so proud of you and Rod and everything that y'all are doing. And y'all got somebody good on y'all's hands that y'all have a team on y'all hands that really are going to make sure that y'all are good as far as information.
Yeah,
as far as
shout out to Patrick, Charles. Look, shout out to the team, man. Everybody, T Wayne, everybody that's been helping us out with these last couple episodes. We're gonna do great things with this, guys.
Definitely.
And with that, we'll catch you guys same time next week, same place.